Hi, I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm James Blackburn.
And I'm Danny Linsky.
You're James Blackburn?
Yeah, that's me.
Very energized.
And this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be discussing canning and preserving.
Woot woot.
All right, one of our favorite subject matters.
Yeah, that's right. And, why is it so awesome? Like, we normally do the intro and talk about why it's important to do canning. So,
take it away.
Well, a lot of reasons.
There are a lot of reasons. It's not just something that necessarily that your mom or grandparents would do. It's a little bit of a pride if it's something out of your own garden and you can can it and say this is mine, and it makes a great gift. I mean.
Oh, sure.
It does. Well,
Yeah.
I like
Merry Christmas.
something that she mentioned during the break was that if you do have a garden and you have a really good year, and all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of vegetables that you can't possibly eat before they go bad, well, here's a good option for reserving them and saving them for later.
That's right.
And what flavor is that?
We have some black grape jam.
Yummy. Yes, with
That was
garlic.
so easy.
Garlic.
Just like
There's a big old chunk right there. But
she's all happy and everything.
There you go.
easily pleased.
I'll probably get like a food preserver for Christmas now.
Yes.
Yay. A dehydrator.
A dehydrator.
Right there.
But
Yummy.
the thing with this is, we talk about crises and natural disasters, and we've talked about, well, what if the stores run out of food or trucks can't get to them because the roads are blocked? And again, within a couple days, all that food is going to be gone. And you had a story about that, didn't you?
I did, and we've all experienced it. We had a humongous snowstorm here about 7 years ago. And in the 4 days that we were cut off from the outside world, no semi-trucks coming in, I witnessed the grocery stores almost emptying out in 4 days. At least all the essentials were completely bare. So if you have some food preserved and ready to go, because you never know what curveball Mother Nature's going to throw at you.
Yeah.
And so that week I was glad I had extra food at home and extra things already preserved and canned, because with no food in the grocery store, couldn't eat all that snow.
Yeah, and all the good stuff's going to be gone, so unless you feel like eating a week's worth of artichoke hearts or something,
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun.
Well, and when my family was living in Alabama, I mean, our house was totaled in a tornado, and both my parents had, the foresight to do a lot of prepping, and so we had a lot of canned goods that miraculously made it, through after the tornado. And it's one of those things as well when you might be worried about your financial situation after having lost a home and whatnot. The last thing that you really want to have to worry about is just having food on the table. And so we were set for a good long while.
And that's the nice thing is that, most of the stuff will store for 1 to 2 years. Some of your meats and other items are, maybe 3 to 6 months, but you can have a whole pantry full of this and know that you're taken care of for months. Just like you said, no worries. And that peace of mind is really good to have.
Well, and it's not just for canning and preserving, jellies and stuff like that too. I mean, as you were saying, meat, vegetables, I mean, almost anything you can think of can be actually preserved like that, right?
Yeah, it's amazing the things that you can. You have to definitely follow the instructions and do it properly. But with that being said, you can
Just
so
about
many
anything.
things.
Yep.
And then it's important also to date the can, obviously, so that you know when it was made, and you kind of got an idea for the shelf life on it as well.
And the other important thing is we did food storage, and so we talk about having some of them dry goods, beans and rice, and by doing the canning, then you supplement that. And you're not just eating bland stuff, And so having a good variety of canned stuff in your pantry, I mean,
You can have a gourmet meal out of everything that you've prepared.
God, what is that?
Some salsa. And
So, when we come back from the break, what we're going to do is we'll talk a little bit more about some of the items that we can can, and do a little basic demonstration of canning some potatoes.
a little walkthrough of the different steps.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
because there are some very specific steps, and you definitely want to do it correctly. But with that being said, you can spend one day, get all kinds of stuff canned, and forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
So come back after the break, and we're going to be showing you a lot of really cool information things, and we're glad that you're here.
Yep. Anyone bring chips? Because the salsa.
I didn't think that you'd have salsa.
We do have
It looks
potatoes.
pretty-
Hi there. Welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Now, we started off this episode talking about canning and preserving, which is always a fun and exciting episode because we get to talk and about all these cool things that we can. So let's just kick off this with what are some of the popular items, or what are some of the items that we can for
That you can?
that you can.
I can do the
Is that a
can.
dance?
The can. Because you can do it. Well, this is the salsa one that we talked about on the last break. Obviously, this has a variety of vegetables already in it, and everything in here, since it can be preserved as salsa, can be preserved separately as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, and something that everyone, I'm sure, is well aware of are cucumbers, and therefore pickles.
Pickles,
you know,
yeah.
and they're healthy snack. You can kind of make your own pickling spice. You can get them from a little thing from the store that's made specifically for pickling spice. But if you want dill versus sweet, you know, whatever, there's just all kinds of variety.
And pickles just happen to be one of my favorites, and I'm actually out. I've got to make some more. But I had dill and jalapenos from my garden, you know, and so the spices that were in there were ones that I
bet
grew.
that was tasty.
That was delicious.
When you get
That's
some
why
more-
you're out.
Yeah. Which is why
When you
they're
get
all
some more
gone.
ready, let us know and we'll come by and have some. 'cause
Exactly.
have a pickle party. I don't know if that's a thing, but it could be.
It will be
We'll
now.
start the first annual pickle party.
First annual.
Yeah. So what else you got over there? I see some peaches maybe.
But you
had other stuff
Hey,
too.
that's mine.
Yep. That's your
my
jelly.
black grape
That's a Christmas
jelly.
gift there.
And one of the nice things, jelly is kind of one of the more popular ones, jams and jellies, because it's a little bit easier process where you just kind of boil the fruit, you know, and then it goes into the jars, and it's a lot quicker. You don't have to pressure cook them.
And it's sweet.
And it's sweet, so you get that sugar fix. But it also will brighten your day. I mean, if you're just having a bad day and you have a roll or a biscuit with some fresh jelly, it's delicious.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm sorry I brought up the peaches first, but that's one of my favorite
Yes.
fruits right there.
James, I see you eyeballing.
That is my nickname is Peaches.
Maybe that will.
So that's why I guess I like them
I
so
sense
much.
there's
but
a
yeah.
backstory to
Yes,
this,
but it's not important to the show.
yeah, well.
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Merry
Oh,
Christmas.
I love peaches
Yay.
and kisses.
And that's what makes those popular, as well as a number of people have fruit trees. So you have cherry tree or an apple tree, peaches. All those items, you can store this stuff. You can also make like compote and use it for pies or putting over ice cream. A million uses, so easy to do.
And I see the applesauce here. I'm a huge fan of applesauce. My mom used to make. I say used to. I mean, she hasn't in a few years, you know, or at least she has, and I just have never been home to enjoy it. But she makes a cinnamon applesauce, and it was always out of this world. And we had just a dwarf tree, but it would always give us so many apples that we would have to find other uses for them, and applesauce was a great way to use them up.
Yep. And then there's meats. So that's chicken. Again, you have to follow really strict guidelines to make sure, just as a safety warning, because botulism can kill you. So you want to be really critical and follow recommended guidelines. Do your research before you actually can some of these items.
Gotcha.
And then the one that I'm fixing to start a little demonstration on is potatoes.
Potatoes.
Because I say potato and you say
Potato.
yeah.
And I say, hey, it's all right either way.
And these are ones that I actually did, and they're nice and yummy. Pull them out, make mashed potatoes or whatever. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try to do a quick step-by-step of the process to actually make this happen.
All right.
And So we're going to clear. Well, how about we slide some of these items?
Slide some of this out of the way. Some
That away.
lovely cans.
Got plenty of yummy eateries.
I think we're going to be set for quite a while.
Okay, so these are really common, these jars. And there's 3 pieces. You have the glass jar, the lid, and the sealing cap.
Gotcha.
And so the first thing that you want to do is to either boil these, or you can put them in a dishwasher at a really high heat, and sanitize them, including the lids. You want to make sure all those parts are super, super clean. You don't want any bacteria in there because it's going to be sitting for a while.
And that would definitely shorten the lifespan of your item without necessarily even knowing it. You ought to crack open your applesauce or whatever, and you cry because it's gone bad.
Well, and a lot of times if you do get bacteria in here, it doesn't just stay the same, it spreads and gets worse, right? So it could really make you sick if you're not careful. And there's one of our favorite items, the legendary stove.
This is a camp stove. No, I don't have a propane tank hooked up. This is for simulation.
Acting.
Should we be worried about any kind of flame anyway?
But what I'm going to do is I have a pot of water here, and I'm going to put that on the stove. There's a flame. You can see it. It's heating up.
Oh, yeah, feels good.
And what that's for is once we put the potatoes in the jar, we're going to ladle some boiling water on top of them. And so we want to go ahead and get that water started.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
We also want to get the water started in our pressure cooker. With potatoes, you have to have a pressure cooker to do them. And so we're going to put 3 quarts of water in here. And these are really great because, okay, here's the weight timer. You can just cook so many different things in here. I did a turkey in here one year.
Holy cow,
wow.
nice.
And you still have a house, so you know what you're doing with a pressure cooker.
And then this is a little rocker. And once it gets rid of all the water, the steam, and you put this on here, this will rock back and forth. Now, the way it's set right now, that's 5 pounds of pressure. That's 10. And when you have all 3 of them on there, it's 15. That makes a difference when you're looking at your recipes. Also, the elevation that you live in will make a difference. At our elevation, a mile above sea level, we're going to do everything at 15 PSI.
Gotcha.
Pounds per
So at like sea level, then you could use less than, is what you're saying.
Depending on the recipe. Again, you always got to check.
Okay.
These same potatoes at sea level can be done at 10 PSI for 35 minutes. At our elevation, it's 15 PSI. So, now I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you some of these items, Danny, and you can kind of, this is where we do our beginner's box.
Yeah. The thing that's interesting about canning, exactly, is that there's no real box here. For one, I mean, you could see that pressure cooker. It's just too darn big to put in a box. And so figuratively, you just need to keep in mind that the beginner's box are beginner's equipment that you need. And so these are some of the items that you'll need for canning. And we'll start off, as I hit you with a potato peeler, we'll start off by just showing you a peeler here. Since we're going to be demonstrating canning potatoes, you don't really have to go and break the bank. These will do for you, and when they break, you can go and spend a couple bucks and go get another one. And we're not breaking stuff over there. All right.
Not me.
This, actually, is our lovely funnel. And just to do a quick demonstration, after you've, say you're doing a jelly, after you've cooked it down and everything, you can, when you have a ladle, to go straight from a ladle into that can be a very messy thing.
In fact, don't mean to cut you off, but we'll kind of do this live.
Oh, beginner's box live!
Yeah, so we'll integrate the items as we're doing this. So we have our clean jars. We cut up some potatoes. Okay.
How fast was that?
And so,
see, we already
without
lost
dropping
one.
them, this is how not to do it, just in case anyone's wondering.
Pretend that was in there.
This is all simulation. I'm not eating these.
Look at that.
Okay.
That would have alleviated the spilling potatoes. I'm just saying.
So now you can use your ladle, because what we want to do is we want to put about a teaspoon of salt in here. Actually, it's a teaspoon if you're using a quart jar. We're using pint jars, so it's going to be a little bit less.
And as far as salt, I mean, they even have in the stores, they have canning and pickling salt. You can get that if you want, but I mean, sea salt works just fine as well.
Yep.
So now we'll ladle our boiling water into the jar, and we want to leave about an inch of headspace.
Yes, we do.
Yes. There you go.
Excellent.
Dun, dun, dun.
Here it goes.
Don't spill it.
Big time
Ready for
excitement.
this?
Spill it.
Pretend it's boiling, scalding hot water. All the more reason to have a ladle.
And that's about it.
Perfect. Oh, I would have died.
Okay. So we will put this back on our simulation stove. We're gonna, when you're doing this, you also want to make sure that the lid is completely dry. That's why using those are nice, because you can normally avoid that. But if not, wipe it dry.
And the less that you can, you know, touch stuff with your fingers, I was always taught, the better, you know, just because your hands, as you should wash them, you know, still might have little grease on there or whatever, so.
Okay, so
Next step.
we have, and again, simulated, we have 7 or 8 of these prepared, okay? We're gonna put them in our pressure cooker,
Dum, bum, bum.
which has 3 quarts of water in it.
And is that enough to cover all the jars, or so
no,
it's
it's
underneath
just
that? Okay, gotcha.
to build up the
It'll-
moisture and pressure.
Yeah, be right back there.
Gotcha.
So this will go on the stove on high heat, okay? Once you start it off like this is gonna vet steam, okay? For 10 minutes. Now once this becomes pressurized, this little thing will pop up, okay? Once that pops up, we set this on here, and we wait for it to start gently rocking back and forth.
Awesome. Well, how about when we come back, we'll talk about extracting the cans out of the pressure cooker so you don't have a hole in your roof.
Correct. Safety first. We want to make sure you do it the right way.
Awesome.
Tune back after the break. We're going to have a lot more awesome
You'll find
things to
out
teach
what
ya.
this means.
And welcome back to No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
All right. This episode, canning and preserving. Before the break, I was talking about the pressure cooker, and we had put our potatoes, we got them into the jar. We put a little bit of salt in there. We poured boiling water on top. We left about an inch of headspace, put on the lids and sealed them up. And then we take, and it helps if you have a basket so that they don't bounce around, but I typically just try to pack it with enough to where they don't bounce around. And
You could even hear that little pressure.
so again, we let air escape for 10 minutes. We put the rocker on, it starts rocking, 35 minutes at 15 pounds of pressure for our altitude. Now, we take it off the heat, leave it alone. This thing's gonna be in the up position because it's pressurized. Just let it cool down and depressurize all on its own. Eventually that drops down. Eventually you can lift this off, no steam pours out. Carefully open the lid.
Contents will be hot.
Yes, this is all going to be very hot. And that's where the grabby handle thing,
That is the technical term for that.
that's the technical term. And so we'll take them out, and we're pretending that these are really, really hot. Yes,
Taters.
these are so hot. Oh,
And
my
they're going to be
goodness.
so tasty.
And I'm going to move this lid because it's in my way.
Well, and something else that, my mistake that we didn't touch on earlier is in the first steps, let me grab this lid here, as far as the tools and equipment needed for canning, when I mentioned earlier that you don't really want to use your hands, there's a wee magnet here that you can use to put this onto your can, whatnot. Then you also have, if you have jellies and jams, if you have something with a lot of air, you want to try and use if you have a spatula, if you have one of these lovely tools to kind of swirl it around, get the bubbles out. This little tier.
Demonstrate.
Yes, we will stir in out the bubbles.
Nice.
Whew. getting the bubbles out. This also, I've actually never seen one of these, so this is really nifty that you have this. But there's a few different measurements on how much clearance for the different items you'll need. Again, looking at the different recipes, calling for different headspace, and
Nice.
so. I mean,
So now that we've got these set out, we used our thingy grabby.
thingy grabby.
Thingy grabby. Just let them cool off. Don't touch them. That water is still boiling in there.
Gotcha.
After a while, you should hear a pop. You'll hear it. It's really cool. Pop, 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 pop. And what happens
that
is this depresses in. If you can detent it and hear it, then it didn't seal correctly. Okay?
Do it again.
And you want to start over and not use those. But if it did seal correctly, that'll drop down, and boom, we have food for 1 or 2 years later if we chose.
Ta-da.
But now, time for the contest.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. I better move this stuff out of the way.
Got some items here. Whoa. But what is this, pray tell?
Well, in this contest segment, we are going to peel some potatoes and chuck them into those pots.
Oh.
Yep.
Those are very far away.
Because that seemed like something I would do in my kitchen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I chuck potatoes all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And are you competing with James?
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. We'll put you in this spot.
Well, I'm
James.
left-handed. That
Do you
might
have
be
one?
a little,
My
out of my
Timothy
favor.
is somewhere else. There it is.
Okay. So I will hand them to you as you complete them, and we'll see who gets the most.
Baby potato.
On your mark. Get set. Go!
Yay!
Go!
Well, normally, I mean...
Now don't take off your finger.
I was like, wait.
This is one of those things.
Well, you have, ideally 9 others, or, some more, but...
That's true. And we have done, well, one of our future episodes is first aid, so we might go
we
straight
should
into
have done that
that
one first.
Yeah,
I
we'll go
think.
straight into it if
First aid goes right along with
someone
potatoes.
loses a finger.
These are tiny little potatoes.
Oh, I know, and it makes it such a challenge. Look at the mess you guys are making.
Well, ideally, you wouldn't do that. Ideally, you would actually have, I like to just put my I like to put my garbage right next to me.
What do you think of that, Tater?
Yes!
He's beating you. That's extra points if you can get it done.
Oh, wow. This is going to take the whole rest of the contest here. Oh, my. Oh!
Okay, now on a serious note, when we're doing these and you get the potatoes all cleaned up, you want to make sure and wash them really well, rinse them really well, and then after you dice them up, go ahead and rinse them again, and because you want to make sure that you're as clean and as safe as possible. You want to avoid any possibility of getting sick. Make sure and do your research before you attempt to can anything.
There are cookbooks also that's made, specifically for canning. You can get a few of those in case in the situation where power goes out.
That's right. And for more information, go to our Facebook page at Facebook/NoJokeSurvival or our website, www.nojokesurvival.com. You can get lots of great information, watch videos, and come back and see us for our next episode. It's going to be exciting.
Look at all those pits in there. No.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude?
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're going to find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're going to find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
Blurred background. I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack. Howdy, I'm Jason Hill.
And I'm not. Actually, I'm James Blackburn.
Yeah, to me would be bad.
Sorry, man.
And this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
And our goal is to teach you some simple and easy ways to get started with prepping in case of a natural disaster or a crisis.
On this week's episode, we're going to go into some food preparation and food storage techniques that exist to help you out.
And speaking of which, this is a topic that I know Danny likes a lot, so let's go ahead and bring her in for this one.
Yeah.
Danny!
It's not on the table. You guys.
We fooled you again. Yeah. We're only talking about food. We're not actually eating it yet.
Okay. Well, we can talk about food, and it reminds you how awesome food is when you get to it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So with food storage, there's a lot of different types of foods that you can store. One of them, which is kind of common, is the MRE, which is the meal ready to eat, the military issue type stuff. And those are nice because they have like a water content. You don't have to rehydrate them. And they're all packaged up and ready to go.
And they're fairly high calorie too to get you through the day, right?
Correct. And they're great for backpacking or just having one in your car in case of an emergency. You break down somewhere. They're really good to have.
Where can you pick those up? I mean,
Locally you can normally find them like at an Army surplus store, but there's numerous places online. Everything's online nowadays, so a couple clicks and they drop ship them right to your door.
Nice. So MREs, not just for the military anymore.
Correct.
They're for everyone.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
So, go ahead. Prepackaged items that are dehydrated.
Yeah.
I saw you brought some in earlier for the beginner's box. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I like to think of the prepackaged, dehydrated food items kind of like the non-military version of MREs. Though with those, I guess you could say for the prepackaged dehydrated food, you do need to add water to them. And what a lot of them, all you have to do is just add, a cup or whatever, boiling water, stir it up, and then it's ready to go. And there's all kinds of different kinds out there. You can, if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, if you love, beef, chicken, whatever.
Chili Mac.
And desserts. I have, I'm a little hesitant about the desserts, so I'll say I've never tried their,
I have.
The
Camping.
desserts.
They're yummy
but-
too. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say they're good.
So on that prepackaged food that you brought in, you can pour the water right into the packaging, right?
Exactly. I mean, the lining inside the bags are specifically designed to where you can add the water straight to it. That way, you're not making messes, and you don't have to dirty up any more, any additional pots and pans if you don't need to.
And since it's a survival show, you should carve your own spoon out of a block of wood before you eat it.
Yes.
If you have this unending amount of time and love to whittle, then maybe. But
Yeah, I forgot my wooden spoon at home today. But I'm
You have
sorry.
5 or 10 minutes as it's cooking, so you have time to carve a spoon.
just take a knife real quick.
As viewers will see on future episodes, we were pretty good with a knife and,
That's right.
and sticks.
Hopefully.
Okay, another popular item, canned goods. We have some on the shelves. Most people have them in their pantry. Soup is a real popular one, but also canned vegetables and fruit.
Yep.
And those are great because they last a long time. And the key is just to rotate them out. As you buy more, kind of put them to the back.
Yeah.
Move the other stuff forward so that you're using it before its expiration date.
Right.
Exactly. You can use that first in, first out mentality. That way if you keep, as you say, rotating, you're not thinking, oh, did this expire 2 years ago? Yes, in fact it did. And for canned fruits as well, if you're in that crisis situation, you need to make sure that you have a water intake, and a lot of canned fruits have, it's kind of sugary water, but there's liquid in there as well, and nothing should go to waste. So you have that there as well.
And the other nice thing is that most of the expiration dates on those cans, it says more of a suggested buy. There's been lots of times where people have eaten them past that time and they're still good. So just be careful and use your best judgment. So.
And you can always use, like a can of black beans to make something bigger, like Pretty Rockin' Quesadilla, as I make every.
Some other great items are like beans and rice and flour, honey. Yeah, honey lasts forever.
So tune back after the break, and we're going to go into a lot more detail on the various items that you can store that don't require a refrigerator.
And how to store them.
And how long to store them.
Exactly. Lots of who, what, where, when, why, how.
And how to cook a good casserole with them.
Hopefully, as long as you don't burn it, it's all right. It's kind of.
Hi, welcome back to No Joke Survival. I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn.
In today's show, we're discussing food storage and all the different types of foods, how long they last, what it takes, as far as some need water, some don't.
Yep. And we touched base on quite a bit in the first segment, but one thing I'd like to talk about here real quick is natural foods, such as peanut butter and honey. Those have a fairly long shelf life, right?
Absolutely. Honey I love because, for one, years later, the most that normally happens to is it kind of gets crystallized, and you just set that like in a hot water bath, and it'll go right back to a liquid.
Nice.
It like virtually lasts forever. And it also has antiseptic properties and some other great benefits too.
Yeah, the bees are awesome for making it for us.
Exactly. And peanut butter is just kind of awesome in general, as far as the protein content, the oils and fats and stuff that are in it.
And it's very yummy too.
I like yummy.
Yes.
That's good. So, we have a number of different products, and some of them last longer than others. And so some of the ones that can last 20 to 30 years are going to be like wheat, rice, sugar, pinto beans, oats, and like pasta.
And can you stockpile seeds for about the same amount of time? Do they have as long of a shelf life for planting those later?
I don't know the exact length of time, but seeds are a great option for prepping, because if, say, a crisis happened and it destroyed the soil or the land or polluted it somehow, and you had to move to a different area and plant crops, if you have some heirloom seeds, then you could potentially throw together a little garden and have a perpetual food source. So having seeds is always a good idea for prepping.
Right, and even though we don't know the exact shelf life, it's a pretty substantial amount of years, I believe. That
Sure.
they last,
I've got some at home, and they're in a little Mylar package, and they're sealed up, and will last.
Now, what about foods that last over 10 years, such as, flour, potato flakes, stuff like that?
Yeah, powdered milk, powdered eggs,
So powdered foods.
Cheese.
Powdered powder.
Could you imagine? I'm going to make an omelet. I'm going to have my powdered eggs, my powdered cheese, and my glass of powdered milk.
It sounds yummy, but hey, in a survival situation, you won't be complaining about it, right?
Well, and that's the key. Is it may not sound super yummy, but if you're looking for something that lasts a long time, that you'll still have as a food source down the road, then you kind of just go with what you have.
Exactly. Now, corn, that also has a pretty long shelf life, right?
Yep. Regular corn, and there's different ways to prepare these, and you want to just package them up to where they're protected from like bugs and insects and things like that.
Yeah, because any kind of critters that are nearby that are also hungry are going to eat up your food if you're not careful.
That's right.
And one quick thing I wanted to mention too is we're talking about long-term food storage, and obviously a refrigerator is not a long-term food storage situation. And if you lost power, the food in the fridge would last 3 to 4 hours, and the stuff in the freezer maybe 24 at the max.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why we're talking a lot about long-term storage because electricity doesn't always see you through.
Correct. And, if all of a sudden there's a crisis, you want to do just that, is burn through the items that are in your refrigerator.
The perishable items.
Perishable before they spoil and go bad. Then work your way to the freezer items, and we've discussed this before, but use the canned goods and the dry goods and the rehydrated goods, use those last so that it'll last a long time.
Well, you know me, I love potatoes, and if they're in flake form or not, it doesn't matter because when they're cooked, it tastes awesome to me. So I have potato flakes at home stored all the time because, potato is one of the most ultimate vegetables out there, or grain, or whatever they call it in the Food Network.
So then you also have some items that you dehydrate yourself. So there's your beef jerky.
Beef jerky, yeah.
Which I absolutely love. I do a lot of hiking, you do as well, and it's just really easy to eat,
Exactly.
store, package, take with you.
I never go on a hike without some beef jerky. Either store-bought stuff or obviously homemade is always better. And you can do that with a food dehydrator.
Yeah, you can pick them up at a local store. They're not expensive, and you can experiment. You can play with it. You just start cutting some thin slices and try different spices.
And what else can you dehydrate in there other than beef jerky?
Fruits and vegetables. So you
And that prolongs the shelf life as well when they're dehydrated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So banana chips are popular, or apples, and vegetables, leafy greens, kale, and there's just so many options that you have. So why not? You can do it at home. And
Almost anything is dehydratable, right?
Yes. Is that a word?
It is now.
Dehydratable.
So once the fruits, the vegetables, the beef jerky is dehydrated, it has about a year shelf life, you think?
Thereabouts, it varies. So, you want to use it up, over some of the other stuff. But a lot of it will last up to about a year.
Nice.
And then, you can start, once you've used up all of your other perishable items kind of in the order that they perish, hopefully it won't last that long. Hopefully you won't need to think about 10 or 20 years from now trying to survive. But then you can use the rehydrated, like the prepackaged items where you add water, use those type of things last.
I don't know why, but it just gets me excited to think about how to prep these things for ourselves and for our families, and just having the knowledge of feeling like we could be prepared should something happen,
Yeah, and another key thing that you want to try to think about is buying foods or storing foods that you're actually going to eat. A lot of people will buy these big bags of beans or rice, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? Do you have a meal in mind, Like, how is that all going to come together? But you want to have stuff that you're going to eat if you have to.
Exactly, and obviously you should use common sense if the food has potential to be spoiled or whatnot. Smell it, a little taste of it. Don't just dive in right away. Make sure that the food has not been infected by bugs or whatever.
Yeah, the food will be discolored, or if it has a bad odor to it, then, common sense says that's probably not good. Yeah, you don't need to get sick because that's just going to make things worse.
Make things a lot worse, unfortunately.
So, some things to consider when you are storing food are where you're at, your climate, because there's a lot of factors that affect food storage, such as heat, humidity, the moisture content in the air, how long they've been stored, even light.
Now, do we have some examples of a variety of things in the beginner's box?
We do, and
I think it's just about time to mention that.
Oh, yeah, well, let's bring Danny in if she's got the beginner's box ready.
Oh, I do.
Danny!
Spoiler this time around, since everyone loves food. So
Beginner's box, time to dance, woohoo!
I wonder how silly
2.0, it's getting better.
I'm waiting for the comments to roll in on our beginner's box dance.
It's bad and getting worse. Well, I guess we'll start off. Since the beginner's box, you have food storage, so we needed a variety of different kind of items. So earlier, we had talked about the dehydrated food packets, and I have a couple here actually, and that you can have all kinds of different items, and depending on what kind of situation you may be in, you can use them for hiking, backpacking, or if your power goes out and you think, oh, I need to make dinner really, really simply. So
Yep, just add some boiled water to them, and
Exactly.
they're lightweight and they store easy.
Yep.
Now, I have never, ever eaten these, but I'm going to actually, I think, pass that on to you to have you explain.
This is just a nice little block. They're kind of like cookies. There's 16 little individual cookies in here at 200 calories each, so it's like emergency food. So
Emergency
it packs.
food cookies.
Yeah. Well, you're packed into a small amount, so if you need to get some energy in you, you can ration these out. So many calories, and it'll last you a little while.
Well, and those
Nice.
are nice
But-
because there's a ton in such a small amount of space. So if you're a big family, you have 6 kids or whatever, you can have a bunch of those and kind of ration them out.
Yeah, and
Versus-
it's all sealed up real nice. So I mean, this could get wet or whatever, and it's still good.
Nice. So, we have a part of an MRE packet. This is a beef patty. We're not going to open it because then I'll want to eat it. I'm really hungry right now. But this is, again, just part of an MRE packet. There's usually some kind of protein, there's some kind of grain. Sometimes there's a dessert, but maybe. So,
Those are great because you don't have to rehydrate them.
oh, very true.
What else we got?
We have some canned sardines. Just for example's sake, you can have sardines, there's tuna, there's anything under the sun. I like canned chicken a lot, and that way, I prefer the real thing, but I'm not a huge tuna eater, so there are other options out
Gives you
there.
a good variety.
So we have some basic canned goods, different kinds of soups, there's beans, there's also, going the natural way. Get
Honey.
some honey on
Oh.
here. Yes.
Peanut butter and honey sounds good.
It does.
Oh, you're going to go for it? I'm going to go for it.
it.
We're both wanting to eat it.
Mine. But set you up there.
And what are these for?
Yeah.
These are just, different kinds of spices, especially, if you have 10 pounds of rice and you think, oh my gosh, I'm sick of eating rice. The more spice you
Exactly.
have, since they last so long, the more spice you have, the more variety you can have. So
Yeah, I had
then-
I put ketchup in rice once to make it taste better, so it doesn't
oh
work.
my. So you have can openers, cooking
Dun, dun,
utensils,
dun. Something to cook it all in.
dun, 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 and
Some dry beans.
dried beans. This, just for example's sake, you can have beans. Again, you can have rice, flour, sugar.
Stay tuned. When we come back from the break, we're going to go in more depth about all these products here.
Yes.
Awesome,
And
man, you got a lot of
hopefully eat
stuff.
something
I can't believe how much we got for $100 that we set aside.
I wish there could have been more, but this is a great start.
Oh yeah.
I hope you got donuts this time.
They're cinnamon, they are mine.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Jason,
I'm James.
I'm Danny.
and we're talking about food storage. I like that video. He's like, if it's cinnamon, it's mine.
yeah. He's not concerned about the food storage. He just wants the cinnamon donuts.
Speaking about spices, kind of give some variety to things.
Yeah. Now, one of the neat things about that video is that they went out and they bought some stuff, and they spent $100. You don't have to spend a lot. One of the things that I like to try to tell people is to just start with a little bit. Just buy a little extra. And if every time you go shopping, you spend $5 or $10 on getting some soup or getting an extra bag of rice or an extra box of your favorite flaked mashed potatoes.
Right.
Then over time you build up, and it's not so overwhelming to where you have to run out and like stockpile your basement, you know. And most people don't have the money for that anyway.
Speaking of
See, I was gonna say,
basements,
speaking of basements, you had a perfect segue.
Right?
Yeah,
as far as
exactly.
Where to store.
I'm the Segway king.
Yes.
Jason Segway
Yes.
Hill.
You just need one.
We talked a lot about how to store food and what type of food to store, but not where. Now, do you have any ideas for the audience that would help out for that?
Well, you know, some people just have a pantry in their house. Some people use a basement where typically it's cooler. So remember, all these different factors, humidity, light, temperature, all affect how long foods are going to last. So if you're storing them and you can store them in a cooler, darker place, it's going to last longer than in your house where it may be 70 degrees.
And you want to be conscientious of, you know, what you're storing where. You wouldn't want to necessarily store tomatoes, you know, being so acidic right next to something that's a very delicate item. I mean, typically squash, for example, lasts for so long, save for spaghetti squash. And so they can kind of have a whole area all their own. You can leave them alone for a while, but keep them away from things like canned goods because they'll start to absorb that flavor. So.
Yeah, and there's so many different types of foods that you can store. It's impossible for us to actually put out that information, but we're going to have more information on our website, www.nojokesurvival.com, and just do a little bit of research, you know. If there's something that you like to store, just go out and look for that information, and you'll be able to find it.
And as usual, the internet is a great source for getting educated. It's like the ultimate encyclopedia, you know, that you can get worldwide information. Of course, you have to filter through it and make sure you get
make sure
stuff
it's
that's
accurate.
correct.
And me personally, I recommend also getting some books, because if you ever run out of power and you don't have that resource, you can always go back to the good old-fashioned paper copy.
Exactly. Notepad, taking notes, you know, for all your favorite stuff. So. I believe that we are about ready for our contest here.
Alrighty.
We've set up this shelf here, and I guess our contest is going to be can stacking.
Can stack.
We're going to check the expiration dates on them and make sure that they're stacked in the proper eating order.
Whoever can stack the most.
I actually took an online course for can stacking.
I hope you didn't pay
I
for
passed
it.
with all A's.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. I was the teacher, so.
Nazi for cans. Meow, meow,
So what do we
meow.
do?
So you'll want to check the bottom for the expiration, and if it's got a long way to go, you'll want to stack it to the back. You'll want to keep the stuff that's about to expire toward the front. So pretty self-explanatory.
All right.
Are you gentlemen ready?
I'm ready.
We're ready.
And go.
All right, this one's good till next year.
You'll also want to
Wait a
make sure if there's any kind of dents in your cans. For one, when you're
2015.
shopping, you don't want to try and get anything
Cream of
that's-
mushroom. I like that.
You don't want anything with any kind of dent to them, because then their good is expired. You'll want to eat those right away.
Yeah, this one expired last year. Oh, I got two
was
cans
loud.
on that one.
This is the
probably
spill
wreaked havoc.
zone.
Hey, Danny, what's that over there?
I don't. There's no more cans. Hey, no, you don't cheat.
I'm in the lead.
What's that?
Oh,
Wait a
no,
second.
come on.
All right, come on.
Denied.
Oh,
Oh, look at that. It's looking pretty.
Obviously, you want to put can.
you're giving him more cans than me.
No, I'm just faster than you, man.
You're not grabbing them fast enough. I'm bringing 2 out at a time.
All right, all right.
Two
all
at
right.
a
This one
time.
for
Looks like
later.
you got a nice
Take that one
little
home with
pyramid.
me.
There's no kleptomania here.
Okay, I'll use it.
Use
I won't
them
steal your cream of
right
stream of
away.
mush.
Cream of mush. Okay. Now try adding that
Mine.
with some asparagus and some
Hey, are you
crackers
getting
and
trapped
some
behind the
cheese.
camera there?
I feel like we're gonna get lost here. See, now you have the 3-dimensional pyramid
Correct.
kind of going on.
I am.
Methinks that might actually be a little bit more stable.
I am trying to be more
You want
creative.
to-
With
make sure that
with,
the feng shui.
I skipped watching
okay.
the dates.
Really? No watching the dates. All right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Well, you need to undo and then redo. And on that note, we'll probably have to can it for now. But I'm done. I tried. So hopefully you can come back and see us next week. We're gonna be talking about a few other things. If you want to find out more information about us, this is getting dangerous. Visit our Facebook, facebook.com/NoJokesSurvival. There you can ask us questions, wonder why the heck they're doing this. Yes, I was waiting for that. You can also visit our website, nojokesurvival.com. There you can find
That was loud.
You can find videos about all of our goodies.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, you know, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude?
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're going to find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're going to find people and be rescued.
Oh, man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.